then I'm just going to leave this here until it's actually starting time. And then hopefully everything else is fine. Everything is recording from my actual mic and not my gamepad mic.
I will say your mic now is at least the proper one.
Excellent. Good to know. Yeah, what's it? I'll just like get, what's it? Most of this is just going to be an overview of like, hello.
Sorry, hello.
Most of this is going to be an overview of like what we're aiming for, what we're currently doing, and then going over the 4 bosses, because realistically speaking, the fact that Liquid is getting closer and closer to like pull 100 of Ovi'nax, and still at like 20%. Oh wait, no, they're at 7% now. Amazing. This is spooky, especially because Kai'Veza, every guild is like, alright, we're going to go Kai'Veza first, or accept the HP. Never mind, this looks like a 625 to 630 eye level boss. Pretty sure they're trying to save as many quests as they can still. I'm just trying to like go little by little, just to make sure that they can actually save whatever upgrades they do need for Kai'Veza, considering that Ovi'nax is like pure AoE. Fucking what is this? What is the comp? 2 Fury Warriors, 2 Frost DK, Havoc, Boomkin, Windwalker Monk.
Or Frost.
Is that 2 blood DKs I see?
Yes, 2 blood DKs.
Hell
on this
yes!
side. And then on Echo side, you can see the 4 Frost DKs, because Liquid's opting for 2 blood DK and 2 Frost DK for enough grips. Echo is just going, yeah, we have other tanks, so we're just going on 4 Frost DKs instead.
They're running 3 tanks though, why?
No blood DK.
It's because essentially they have 2 tanks for the boss because of the tank debuff, the volatile concoction hurts a lot, and then 1 tank is just tanking the spiders because of the.
No, I sorry. The why is more of a, I can't believe that a high class guild is doing a 3 tank strat. It must be that difficult. Holy cow!
Yeah.
Well, they're just doing 1 tank.
No, I don't think that's true. I think
Yeah, Ethical's actually just that good.
And then you have like you have the other lower tier guilds trying out Kai'Veza, but it's not going too hard. Yeah, what is it?
I'm seeing more VDHs than I've seen in the past.
Yeah, all more VDH, and then if the guild's not running a Boomkin or a Feral Druid, they're usually running the Guardian Druid. And then there's a few that want the Resto Druid instead.
Now that I realize what Ironbark does, I love Resto Druid.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it so much.
It's looking like it's time, so let me just start the event, and then I'll just start yammering on, and then people can just reference to the board.
I don't think I missed a single CD.
Right, so
Getting that Ironbark on the feast changed, like made me from actually worried about my survival to, no, this is turn off brain mode.
Alright, so it is time, so I'm just going to start this conversation, start this meeting the way that I would, regardless of how many people there are. So, the very first stuff that we need to do prior to anything else happening for Mythic is to get the Queen Ansurek kill for AOTC. Pretty late, but I wouldn't really say it's all too late when you consider that, like, is it around 800 kills at the moment? This is probably around like our rankings for last year, and it definitely feels like, what is it? There's probably gonna be like another 100 to 200 kills, but like, this kind of just shows that the way that we ended season 3, that's where we're starting. We're not starting all the way back in Bolt or Abyss skill level where we're at like 1200 to 1400, and if you go to US kills, it's kind of a similar stuff, 253 total kills. So like, I wouldn't be too hard pressed on this. It is a bit annoying that we didn't get the kill last Sunday, but we'll just deal with that kind of stuff. So the very first stuff that we're going to do is we're just going to go over the, the remainder of the Ansurek fight for this meeting. Let me see. We're not going to talk too much about the rest of this section, so we'll just skip on ahead to P2. So, most of this in this report should be fairly straightforward. We shouldn't really have to discuss too much about like, alright, there's a tank hit that knocks them back, there's a grip in effect, and then you're just dodging the line AoE. And then during this section, because this person isn't a healer, there's like one random person who gets like a raw tick every now and then. That person just needs to be aware of their personalism or whatever. And then as soon as the ad dies on both sides, because they share HP, you just click on the pylons. As soon as they activate, the wedge cast gets reset. The tank goes up first, picks up all the ads, and then all DPS just run straight on through anyway to get to the ad that's at 1 HP with a million shield. And the goal is to just kill this. In an ideal world, me and Quex are on opposite sides and we just touch of death this, and it's going to like blow it up quite a bit. So if we're doing something like that, don't expect to send all 2 mini CDs on it. If we, if I end up having both of us on the same side, then it's a bit different. During this section, there's going to be like 2 healer dispels. So on the side, they don't get the wedge first, there's no pull-in, so they immediately dispel 1. They put an SOT to stabilize the wave. They're going to wait for this rest. They're going to get pulled in for this 2.1 million damage, and then they're going to heal up a tiny bit more, and then they're going to do the second dispel. Either or, they were just going to let it natty expire. Actually, they might have done, just from looking at this part, I think what they actually ended up doing is they got up here, they dispelled immediately. Right there, they dispel once. Oh, and then they dispel a second time. So they just did like really big DRs. So that's one way to do it. I would probably say it's a lot safer to just dispel 1, let the reds go off, get pulled in, heal up, and then do it the second dispel. Unless like, on odd side, it should be Soup's ramp. On even side, it should be me and Topaz doing our heal CD. So depending on how much you trust the 3 of those people, we'll do whatever. And then on this last platform, it's just the same stuff as the P2 start. You're just dodging the warps. There's like, you're just meeting the DPS check. It's whatever. So we finish that off, and then we're going to get knocked over. And then we'll talk a good deal about P3, and I do need to update stuff. So you're going to notice that they're all going to move to this side, which is near the top of the map. So that's where Ansurek lands. And then there's a few mechanics here that we do have to interact with that we didn't do on normal mode. So we'll just let this play out. We go in here. There's going to be infest on whichever tank currently has it, and then there's going to be gorge on the other tank after this swap, and then that's all the weight damage. While this is happening, in an ideal world, all of the range are stacking towards the outside of the arena, and all the melees are stacked up together, because as this gorge is hitting the tank, swords are going to drop, and these are going to create void zones. So ideally, the range are on the outside, melees are on the inside, and we're just trying to section off the room by taking up as much space as possible. We kill the ads, make sure that they get CC'd, they never reach the boss, otherwise the boss gains 20% damage up. And for these Sackos, the video that we have in the resource channel mentions that we're going to, we're going to put 1 in range, 1 in melee. We're going to do something slightly different. We're just going to place both of them in melee range. Ideally, these 2 people hit a DR, and then with these 2 in the front, we're just going to 3-target cleave off the boss. So with 3-target cleaving, make sure you never step inside the circle, otherwise, same stuff as Sylvanas change happens. You get stunned with like whatever this stake or arrow thing is. Although this one's going to be like a web stuff. And then they're going to drop the portals, one person on the outside, one person on the inside, and then you will get knocked back wherever you're facing. So you just make sure that you're not facing the outside of the arena, otherwise you're just going to fly off into the abyss, dodging orbs. And then for this, for the gluttony, you're going to be near the inside portal and you're watching for this void zone to creep away. As soon as the portal on the other side no longer has this void zone, you'll take it. I'll also call out that you can take it, and then we spread out afterwards because everyone has a bomb from taking the portal. And as these stuff explode, we have all the web blades, and then you're dodging the orbs that come from the portals. And then the fight kind of repeats with one exception. So we have the inverse, the gorge is happening, range on the outside, baiting swirlies, and all these are stacked up together to bait swirlies as well. These cycles go in front of the boss, and then everyone else is focusing on these ads first because this is the priority. And then after they kill these ads, they're going to move to the front of the boss to kill the cycles. And we get the heroic mechanic of the Queen Summons. So 3 ads are going to pop up on the 3 closest corners to wherever Ansurek currently is. They start off with a 40% shield and 60% HP, so they effectively have 4 HP. We want to DPS the shield off so that we can start kicking them. So everyone's just hitting them until we can start kicking them. There's a chance that one AoE might go off, that's totally fine. Just make sure that we always get a few of them down and then we can just start kicking them. When these ads die, they're going to drop an orb. This orb gives you lots of damage, but what is it? It has 2 conditions. I'll mention it a bit later. We'll most likely give these to like the more tankier specs, just so that the lot damage is a bit more ignorable. So when this 40 gluttony happens, this void zone, if the orbs or the person with the orb touches it, that's basically a wipe. However, when the orb people end up taking the portal does the collapsing stuff that you saw earlier. So in an ideal world, everyone either goes in at the same time or the people of the orbs, they delay going in ever so slightly. Just to make sure that when this portal collapse happens, people actually have enough time to actually like run out of it. There's like plenty of time. It's just whoever is assigned to the orbs, they just need to make sure that they go in pretty late. Not too late, because you don't want to touch the void zone. And then the boss eventually dies. This overlap right here is like really nasty because essentially you have all these ads in the background. Very shortly they're going to have all of these 3 ads pop up, and then the condemnation stuff pops up. And then right here they're just going to aim to just kill the boss before it kills them. We shouldn't see this fall into the fight with gear. But yeah, so that's just a very quick overview of Queen Ansurek. We'll most likely go over this in raid as well, just to make sure that people know what they're doing. Probably going to wait until we actually see P3 before we actually like revisit this mod. But yeah, what is it? Let me see. I don't think there was anything else. I will just give a reminder. When the tank buster is happening, the gorge, that's one of the sections where we're just going to raid DR. This gorge, whatever physical damage the tank takes, 7% of it gets reflected as raid-wide damage as shadow. So we'll probably have something like an AMC on the raid, and then people will just have to move out of the swirlies as they pop up. Let me see, I believe that's what I have assigned. Or we're just swapping, yeah, the AMCs are just going to be swapping back and forth between Bubba and Bo. And then we will be healing this fight just for safety, just that way in P2, if one healer is dead, one side just doesn't get immediately like cooked over. Quite cool. So that's like a really quick overview of the tail end of Ansurek. Let's see if we have any questions about that stuff.
The tail end really isn't that gold.
Yeah, what is it? Generally speaking, most guilds probably take somewhere between the ballpark of 1 to 5 pulls, with outliers going up to 10 pulls. It's kind of one of those phases where if people know at least a general sense of what goes on in that final phase, it's very easy to just one-shot it.
Yeah, like when we were doing the split run, me and Ro, like we kind of didn't know like what to do there because we hadn't looked at it, but like so easy to recover from it.
Yeah, it's fairly straightforward.
Really not. Yeah.
So yeah, how is it? I'm mainly going to like do it as a bot review in the event that like we don't end up one-shotting it or like things look a bit too spooky. But yeah, shouldn't have any issues with this. We'll probably call this pretty early on Friday unless something on Heroic ends up causing us issues. So with that being said, if we don't have anything else, we'll go over to discuss a bit about Mythic and go through the 4 boss gauntlet. Because realistically speaking, Ovi'nax is not looking too likely, even in like a few weeks. Because what is it? If they're already at 100 pulls, chances are this is most likely a 200 to 300 pull boss. This fight is most likely just going to get nerfed after like the race to word voice is done. Just because of what is it? It's a bit too strict of a requirement. Alright, so we're just going to go through the bosses one by one as I discuss them. So this is a brief overview of the current progress of after having 2 days for US guilds to do stuff, and then it's 1 day for EU. They're not going to really do stuff until later on. Actually, let me see. Yes, they won't be doing stuff until later on. So going into Mythic, currently Ulgrax has around 400 world kills and 130 US kills. So this is a boss that, for the most part, we should just be able to outright kill. If we don't, I think that there's going to be like major concerns on my end. So let me just grab these 2 windows real quick. And I'm just going to drag them over. So I believe with how many kills this is, 288. What is it? Y'all can just look at these stuff like on your own rather than seeing it minimized. But realistically speaking, you're going to see that there was a lot of ad damage. This is technically bad, but for current gear, it's actually like really required because we're going to see at least 2 or 3 intermissions. In an ideal world, we want as many people to be focused on single target damage as possible so that we see less of the intermissions. But I don't believe at this point we have enough single target damage to skip the 3rd intermission. I think there's only like maybe 5 to 10 guilds that have skipped 3rd intermission. It'll probably be a lot easier once the guilds are like closer to 615, 618 start going in. But my main focus is primarily going to be we need enough intermission damage so that in intermission we don't just absolutely fall over to the ads because they live for way too long. But we have enough boss damage that the boss will die within, because it's very easy to see Enrage. I think with us waiting late, we probably won't be seeing Enrage. We'll have to see. But yeah, just note that this statistic exists. So just know whether or not you're supposed to be focusing on the intermission DPS, or if you're supposed to be someone who's just cranking on the boss during each of the sections of the fight. So, with that being said, let me see. Let's go over to the boss. So we're just going to be watching Liquid's board. What is it? We're not going to do the strat that they're doing. We're just going to keep the boss in the middle. I know. What is it? I know that the reason why they're going to be dragging it out is because they want the spiderwebs to be outside. But I think it's just a lot simpler. We don't need to overcomplicate the mechanic. We're just going to keep the boss in the center. So most of this early part stays the same.
Good.
Except,
First webbing.
Wait, hold on. I don't want to hear him talk. So I have all these stuff. As a note, these stuff will stun you instead of rooting you now. I believe it's a 30-second stun unless people DPS you out. There's a few ways to clear this out. You can immune to it, so like you can puke, run through stuff, AMS, run through stuff, bubble, turtle, those kinds of stuff. We will be using this later on in the fight. But for this initial section, in whenever we're doing like this section with the boss with digestive acid, we're not going to clear out that way. We're going to just use the poison bombs in order to clear it. So this initial part doesn't really change all too much. Another venomous loss, and then after the think process, they're going to do economist. So we're going to take this one further out into range. We're going to put a gateway going max range, and then we'll just start all the way out at the gateway. And then we're going to split the raid in half. In an ideal world, the tanks are included in this, so it'd be a 10-10 split with the tank, with one tank in both. If the tanks can't reasonably get to the silk in time, whichever one they're going to be going into, it's totally fine for them to stay out. It's just to hedge against the fact that like one person might have a silk for the other group, and all of a sudden the other group is now an 8 stack instead. So they get all of this stuff. They're getting sucked in. You could notice like nearly everyone like gets underneath the boss, and they're just all hitting poisoners and immunes because of how big that pull-in is. It is a very strong pull-in. Alright, and then we're going to go up to this next section. So this is the section, what is it? The section that goes back to back, so like starting from this venomous last, this is a very high damage section because it's essentially venomous last into this digestive acid, and then I believe, what is it? I believe what is it? For most guilds, as well as for what our current CD timings are, as soon as that venomous last hits, we're just going to pop a big heal CD. You can already see people dropping to like 30-40% HP. If you get this bomb, I would highly recommend you pop a personal for this. There's no personal assignment, you're just going to hit your personal whenever you need it. It is just a lot of damage. And once again, they're doing this oak. This is definitely way too close to the boss. And I'm hoping, oh wait, no, he's a mage, he's just going to constantly bring it backwards. And then this phase is going to end. There is a bug that happens every now and then where this will double hit. This is only single hit. And then we go into intermission, and then this is where all of the high DPS stuff is needed. Right there, after this line happens, if people can start clearing the webs, so like for example, you notice like this DK right over here, they're going into AMS and they're just clearing out as much in the middle. If people can do that, just make sure that you don't like, your immunity doesn't run out and you just run into another one and all of a sudden you're completely webbed. Because what we want to do is we want to be able to take these ads that spawn on one side of the arena and drag them to the middle, just to make the end of the fight, end of this phase, a lot easier. So we have all these charges, just make sure you never get hit. And then the very important stuff is these gigantic ads, the bio soaked spawns, we want to kill them pretty quickly. Basically every 5 seconds they're going to just randomly hit a number of players with an AoE, and then every 10 seconds they gain another stack that increases whatever AoE damage they do by another 10%. So anyone who's like heavy into single target should just be focusing on these spawns. You'll notice that there's already like 6 of these gigantic ones up. And then during this section, that's just a lot of damage. We'll probably have some kind of radial. For the most part, this would be healer CD'd through, but if you ever drop like radial, just hit a personal. There's nothing that you really need to save it for. And then the boss comes back up. the boss will need 25 chunks, which means that if all 20 people give one chunk, we need 5 more to go back and forth. For the healers, if you're able to, pick up a chunk like midway through whenever you're like free from your healer CD or whatever, and then you're just going to feed once and then you never touch the chunks ever again. If we end up struggling real hard, I'll just remove it and it'll just be DPS and tanks just picking it up and running it to the boss. And as you're like feeding, just make sure that you never hit any of these webs. You'll see that this DK, the second DK is starting to go around with AMS and just calling out more of the arena so that people don't accidentally step into it. And then that's essentially it for Mythic. The biggest stuff is every single time we finish the first soak, whatever it is, let me see. So like every single time we finish whatever this first soak is, and we go into the section before the second soak, so this venomous loss into the bombs. This is like really high. You should be popping a personal or something just to make sure that you get topped off before you have to go into whatever the soak happens. This distance is kind of more likely closer to what we want. Probably a tiny bit further out. But yeah. As for timers, what is it? Actually, it'll probably be easier if I just go over to this timer stuff. So we end off the first phase around 135. We have all these ads popping up between 147 to 213, and then technically 227 is when you feed, but as you probably can see in the video, you're usually still having like DPS and tanks trying to kill the last reset of Biosoak spawns just because they have so much HP. So that's the first timers for this first phase, and then whenever we finish feeding, which might not always happen at 3 minutes, 302, we go into another section where from 302 to 444, we have another 140 section where we can DPS the boss. Technically, while the boss is transitioning, I'm just speed on ahead to whenever this transition happens. While the boss is doing the transition, you can still DPS the boss. So right here, you just need to make sure that you live the proximity damage and you don't get knocked into a web. Like throughout this whole entire section, while the boss is like disappearing, you're just constantly DPSing the boss. There's no reason to stop until the boss model completely disappears. And that void circle that you see, it does absolutely nothing. It's just a visual, so you can just stand in it as you're like DPSing. So going back to the timers, so that ends at 444, and then this phase usually takes longer just because this set of ads kind of has 2 minutes with it. This set of ads, it happens around 5 minutes, and that doesn't align with most CDs. So this phase usually lasts a bit longer, and then the boss comes back around 622, and then we have another 140 section up to 8 minutes. We do another ad phase, and then the boss comes back around 940, and then it hot enrages at 10 minutes into the fight. Regardless of where the boss is in its rotation, it will just enrage. So do keep that as a note. That's the timer that we're aiming to beat. So what is it? I'll just let this play out until the end of this charge just to show what I mean by like there's so many ads still up. Because it's very easy to think that like people are padding, but right here the boss is spawning. All these ads are like super healthy still. Like, what is it? Right around here, people can start feeding the boss. The boss had already appeared, but people are still prioritizing these ads because these ads do ramp up in raid-wide damage. You don't go feed immediately if you're still doing big DPS to the ads. You just focus on the ads, and then when they're all dead, that's when you can start feeding. If for the last set of ads, if the tanks can slowly start dragging the last set of ads over to the boss, that'd be appreciated. Don't do like very big drags, like just take your time, just because we don't want people to be using DPS as like the ads are just running full force towards the boss. we're just going to continue on with this section. So I'll most likely assign for each of these intermissions. So let me just go over to the next intermission. Whatever happens. Oh, they just kill right here. We'll just rewind because they don't see the third intermission. During these sections where like the boss slams into the middle, so like boss jumps over. During this section, I'll most likely request for certain people to hit AMS, hit turtle, hit bubble, and just call out as much as the middle. We don't want to use everything during that section. I think we only need like maybe 1 or 2 people to call out, because when the boss reappears at the very end, right here, it starts off by casting a whole bunch of webs again, and we want to clear the area around the middle towards the boss. Cool. So that's Ulgrax. This would not be a boss. We're going to one-shot. What is it? I believe most guilds. Oh, this isn't procs that side. I believe most guilds currently take probably somewhere around 5 to 10 pulls for this boss. With Liquid and Echo, basically doing it as a 1 pull. God damn it. Alright, this side isn't updated. Let me just check my other site. Okay, this side is updated. And yeah, just as I was mentioning, it's roughly around 4 to 5 polls. So do expect us to take a few number of polls, but it shouldn't take all that much. And this is why I keep mentioning like you should probably be around 610 plus eye level if possible. I know some of you need the weight gear in order to do that, but for the most part you should be getting close to this eye level. Otherwise things get very spooky, not only for the DPS check but also for your ability to survive. Like, cool. And then let me see. And then yeah, we're 5 healing, so like there's a whole bunch of like heal CDs all over the place for this. And then I'm still working on the sheet for a few stuff that are missing. So yeah, there's no questions. Let me see what my next timer is. This should be a pretty straightforward fight. It's a bit before this. Okay, so next one will be Bloodbound Horror. Actually, let's do this stuff first. So Bloodbound Horror, we currently have about 255 total world kills. I'll probably add another 100 to that, and then 85 US kills. Probably add another 50 to this, 50 to 60 by the end of the day. This fight is a lot shorter than Ulgrax. Ulgrax is most likely going to be a 9-minute fight. Really interesting choice. Let me see, where is the page I actually want? So I can see over on the side, 9 minutes, 10 minutes. Few guilds that have 7 minutes because they skipped the last intermission. Really depends on our split of single target versus AoE damage, but generally speaking, you should expect somewhere around a 9 to 10 minute fight. Bloodbound Horror, on the other hand, is a lot closer to 5 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes. And this one will be full healed. So, so I already mentioned this stuff with these statistics. And then if I just pull over to Bloodbound Horror, what is it? Generally, we're more so going to be gated by our damage that we do to the ads, more so than the boss damage. The boss dies whenever it dies, but I'm most likely going to lean more heavily onto specs that AoE, just because if we miss a single ad downstairs, it's almost a guaranteed wipe. Actually, I'm just going to change my mind. It's a guaranteed wipe. We're just going to wipe early if the downstairs group isn't able to kill all of their ads. So the more AoE that you can provide for this boss, the more I would appreciate it. That being said, boss damage is also pretty nice. And there is one ad that needs pyro focus during the downstairs. So like it's not like single target is like entirely useless. It's just that the more people that we have for that, the more likely we could just kill this. And what is this? What is this? 4 to 10 pulls. So let's just go ahead and go over this fight for Bloodbound Horror as we're going to do it. So we're going to last one poll. So these ads, there's a specific pattern that they will always spawn on for each of the sets. So for the first and second one, for the first set of downstairs before the 2-minute window, there's always going to be one comp. It's going to be one tank ad, 2 casters, and then there's going to be one caster, it's going to be either clockwise or it's going to be counterclockwise. Generally speaking, this solo ad, most guilds are just having the casters go over. Liquid's going to do something different, which I might have us do, at least for this blue set. There is a reason why they just call it the caster ad instead. And then you have the mythic mechanic. You basically just have a bomb. You're going to spread out, and then after 6 seconds, it's going to peel up. Whichever group is going downstairs, you need to hit a personal, because not only do you have a heal absorb, you just took the bomb damage. Once that happens in 2 seconds, unless the heal is all like really quick on stuff, you might not be fully topped off before this mechanic hits. So what the Liquid is going to do is they're going to have everyone just full out focus on this ad, because of the fact that the laser always moves counterclockwise. So they're going to kill the ads in counterclockwise order. So since, what is it? They're going to kill that ad first, and then they're going to go over to the comp over here. Do keep in mind, this boss model is really big. I know at the very least for rogues, caustic splatter, and then for mages, whatever the touch of the magi stuff is, it will just blast from the boss onto these ads. So that's how big the boss's hitbox is. And then, what is it? It's just going to DPS this comp. And part of the reason why, they started with that ad is because in a few moment, as they're killing this ad, that ad that they had killed first, it's no longer accessible. They can't reach it because of the way that the laser is going. We'll talk more about like the what I specifically mean by it's the caster ad, in terms of it's going to be a caster DPS plus 1 melee DPS, or like it's a single target focus. But for the moment, they're just going to continue on their way. So they're done with the downstairs. So this time around, this ad spawns counterclockwise. So instead of doing what the first group did and where they started on the ad to the left, they're starting with the clump. And they're focusing on killing this clump, and then as the laser rotates, they're going to rotate into this ad on the side. So we just continue forward. In an ideal world, people aren't on the same side, so that when the bomb pops up during this beam, you actually have space to spread. Because while you're upstairs, you still see the bombs on the people downstairs, and you will be affected by it. So there they go. There's a spreading. They're going to drop all these tentacles, and then once the tentacle drops, same stuff as normal. They're going to be running out for the core splatter. Alright, core splatter happens. It's the same timing as in Heroic. It's 202 when you start running out, and then it's 207 when it activates. In an ideal world, we're probably going to have 2 warlocks on both sides, and you're going to take a gateway either in or out, just to reduce the number of damage. And then, what is it? I believe we have 1 heal CD on both sides for this 8 seconds of core splatter dot. So here's the reason why I mentioned that one ad needs to be the pyro focus or the cast ad. After the first set of gore splatter, the ads will always spawn with 1 tank ad, 2 casters, and then the last one is not 90 degrees clockwise counter, it is on the complete opposite side. and it will always spawn on that matter for mythic. So what's going to happen after they spread is you're going to go downstairs, and then one melee, what is it? One melee and one range would be going to the other side. I think for Liquid, the DPS is way too high, so they're able to like just nuke this set, and then the range are able to just move over to the other side. Either that, or if they just didn't notice that there was one on the other side. If the tanks could do the laser in this fashion, so it's kind of hard to see from the mage POV, but it's essentially you face the boss in such a way that it will rotate counterclockwise into whatever the combo of ads are. So then on the other side, this laser will rotate to open up this ad. That would be.
That way you're gonna like block off.
Yeah. Because like right here, now all the melees who finish off that comp, they can now access this ad set. Because if you rotate it, if you try to put it like exact opposite, so like let's say that the tank was like exactly opposite of wherever this group is, it's going to take way too long for that ad on the other side to open up for the rest of the way to get to help. What is it? Let me see if I can like diagram this out. Let me see the palace. Let me see. So we have Bloodbound Horror. We have this guy. We have the tank ad. We have the two casters, and then we have the one caster on the other side. So, what is it? So at the very start of this fight, this is quick respawn. So like you tank frontal, all the people get sent downstairs. Let's just say that's the group, and then you have the tank that's like on the opposite side because they're part of that group. So in the ideal world, we're always going downstairs near this ad. In the event that like somehow this ad isn't exactly on you, you're just going to need to rotate like 90 degrees, and then we'll just take the cone wherever. Just follow your tank. That's the simplest way. Don't think too much. Just wherever the tank goes, you go with them. So that stuff happens. So now these guys, they're like all slamming into this ad set. This tank on this side, you want to turn it so that the boss is facing in this door. As a wonky, we'll just leave him as an oval, so that when he's around, but when he spawns this, what is it? What's a decent call? I'm just gonna go with this, so that it rotates this way. So that what is it? As this group over, actually I'm not even so then as this group is finishing, this laser will eventually rotate around so that they can eventually access this ad. If that makes sense. I'll update the wait plan to like represent this.
Can you go back to the VOD? Is it 180 degrees across the room, or is it 90 degrees to either side?
You mean for the ad?
Yeah, because there's those ads there. Then where's the other one spawning?
It's on the complete opposite side.
Really?
Yeah. So after 2 minutes, it'll always be on the exact opposite side.
Okay, so it's just the first one where it's a 90 degree.
Yeah, the first two will always be 90 degrees randomly left or right.
And then after that, it's always 180 across the room.
Yeah, it's always 180.
Okay, so it gives us some grace period to potentially play with the first set of beams, but no grace period for the second set.
Yeah, the second set of beams you'll want to do this kind of stuff. So like what is it? On the very first set, it's like it's going to spawn like what is it? It's either going to spawn here or it's going to spawn on this side. So like if it spawns on this side, the weight if we're doing a liquid shot, the weight would start here and then it will move over to the clump. If it's started on this side, weight starts here and then moves over to the cell ad. But then after 2 minutes, it's always going to spawn exact opposite, so the tank should always position in a way that the laser kind of does this thing. In an ideal world, you're like making the cleave as close as possible, so that this group can access this ad as soon as possible. We're most likely going to assign one melee DPS and one caster to this ad as well, just to make sure that it's not full HP, because when Liquid moves over to that specific ad, you notice that, so like they start DPSing this ad, they only have 15 seconds left before they go upstairs. This ad has to die in 15 seconds. Like you can see, like they're kind of like DPSing pretty hard in order to make sure, and they just barely kill at 4 seconds from like going upstairs. If this ad is still alive after 4 seconds, that's basically a wipe. That's how tight it was, and that's with them not sending a ranged DPS and a melee DPS over. Granted, if we're sending a melee DPS over, just note that it's probably going to be really hard for the healers to reach you, so you have to be able to somehow survive this 1 mil heal absorb plus this 2 mil bomb. So it's most likely either someone tanky or someone who can self-sustain themselves. And then, we'll go over to this next set. Well, you're also going to see that it's going to spawn 180. So clump is over here, to the right, in between square and triangle. And if you briefly saw it in the bottom left corner, the ad is complete 180 from it. So once again, this group, they're going to rotate over, and then they have the spread mechanic before they fully finish rotating over, and this group is starting around this solo ad. They're going to go downstairs soon, and then this tank is going to angle it in a way that you see right here. Passing W is just slowly moving over to show that the angle is the way that it wants to be. So then, underneath this frame to the right, Passing W is standing there, and you can see like how this laser is being positioned, so that this laser, as it's rotating counterclockwise, it's going to cross this ad, and it's going to open it up for the rest of the way to hit it. I will mention, you can kind of see right here, as this beam is starting its cast, the tank does have 4 seconds of leeway where they can move the boss a bit. Try not to juke people out with this. Make sure that like as soon as you can stop, you stop, so that the laser doesn't spawn and then it clips someone because they didn't realize that the tank was moving. Because in a few other guilds VODs that I watched, what would end up happening is as this beam cast is starting, the tank would slightly rotate clockwise, and then people would get like juked out and they get clipped by this beam because they're not expecting the beam to move clockwise. They're only expecting it to move counterclockwise. Like like right here, you can see like the two people on the left, they almost get clipped by this beam because they're not paying attention to the fact that the tank is moving the laser. But yeah, aside from that, that's basically the fight for Bloodbound Horror. It's going to take a while because we're going to have to see what our downstairs DPS looks like. And then, in general, what's going to happen is they go out there in this section, and then if our DPS is good, this is roughly the timer that we should be looking to kill. So basically, one of the groups is going to go downstairs, whichever the odd group is, they're going to go downstairs, and then they're just going to focus on the boss. We're just sending them downstairs so that they can kick the tank ad. Because otherwise the tank ad's going to get off its cast and it's going to continuously stack up a heal absorb, and then we can no longer kill the boss. So we still go downstairs even though we're calling out we gotta kill the boss. Right. So that's it for the VOD itself. As for the raid stuff, I also highly recommend people look this up. So I've been kind of DMing a few people. There's a few more people I need to DM. But basically, first group goes downstairs at 19 seconds. This will be what I will refer to as the odd group. Even group will be going down at 118. And then core spotter happens. Odd group goes down to 227. Even group goes down at 326. Core spotter again. and then 4:35 we're going to go downstairs. If our DPS is good, we're just going to kill the boss right here. If we have to play it longer, we'll just play out this first set, this first group. You're just going to play out your ad, and then this the even group, you shouldn't have to kill your ad. You should just focus on the boss, because generally speaking, most guilds are calling before 5:30. There's a few 6-minute kills. I'm hoping our DPS isn't that ill that we have to go to 6 minutes. That's really spooky to have to like play that many ad sets, because we miss one of the Forgotten Harbingers. It's gone. We're done, because essentially, what is it? If I can go back to whenever like they'll actually do the ads. If we don't end up killing the Forgotten Harbingers, these blood whores, every single time one of them touches the boss, it's a huge rate wide. It's like 33% of your HP every single time one of them touches it. If you have like any shield CC abilities, would highly recommend running it. Stuff like Typhoon, Ursus Vortex, for enhanced summon, you have like the what is it, the Earth Totem, whatever that roots or shields. You have like the Frost Shock that shields in AoE. What is it? We have Ring of Peace, we have Leg Sweep, A-Bomb, Glotines, whatever.
You said second group goes down at 118.
Yeah, second group will be going down at 118 and 326. In an ideal world, what's going to happen is we're going to last on pole, and then for the 19-second, the first group, the odd group, if for the first few polls or two, I might ask for DPS to hold CVs until you go downstairs. I know that there's some DPS where you benefit from like, you hit your DPS CDs, and then as you're going downstairs, your DPS CD finishes and it just AoEs onto all the ads. That's totally fine.
My 1 minute CDs would come back up perfectly for second group.
Yeah. Anyone who like has CDs where like you can burn them right at the start of the poll, and then when you go down at 118, you're good to go. That would definitely be beneficial. I'm hoping that we don't have to hit a situation where it's like these people are just holding their CD like a whole entire 1 minute before they go downstairs. It shouldn't be needed, especially with how close the ads are. Even with just people are just naturally hitting the DPS rotation without CDs, we should still be able to kill. But I do know that we have a good number of people who basically have 1 minute CDs, and they're just going to be able to do their stuff on pole, and then we'll go downstairs at 118. So that's it. I'm still doing some CD stuff throughout this. Usually I'm like just worrying about like just immediate heal CD, and then like I'll just put stuff down for the rest of the fight. But yeah. So any questions on Bloodbound Horror? Alright, cool. Like, definitely taking a bit longer than I liked, but what is it? It's important for me to just go through these. And then of course there's always like a bot, so like even if like you don't absorb all the information from the 20-minute explanations, you can always just reference the bot for what I'm discussing that's important. Realistically, I'm just going to emphasize this again. If it's your turn to go downstairs, and you're going to be getting hit by this tank frontal, you should be hitting a personal, just because you just want to give your healer some time to recover from this section. Aside from that, realistically, the only other time you're hitting your personal is partway through this 40-second long dot, or it's, what is it? Technically you could hit a personal if you like mess up and you have to like eat this beam. They actually nerfed this beam damage to the point where you can hit a personal and you would survive one tick at like maybe 5-10% HP. But the other spot that you would use a personal at is this gore splatter. This dot only lasts like 8 to 10 seconds, something along those lines, 9 seconds. This is the other spot you can hit a post-note for, but because of how close it is to odd group going downstairs, you most likely want to save your post-notes for when you go downstairs. And then, because of the fact that this heal sword is like 1 mil, don't be afraid to like health potion or health pot for it if you notice that like we're falling behind. It should be very clear if you need to go. I know that they're not taking a whole lot of damage when they go downstairs for each of these sections, but like this upfront damage is like 3 million damage. They're just always hitting a potion for it. That's why the HP ball is not moving all that much. Alright, cool. So that's going to be it for Bloodbound Horror unless we have any questions. So I will continue on to talk about next fight. So this is a fight, I'm hoping that we are able to kill this either on Saturday or for overtime Sunday. Depending on how the fight goes. It might take a bit longer than that. Let me see, so Sikran over here, it says 2 to 4. That's just for the 5 guilds that have cleared the fight. I would probably say that this is closer to at least 5 pulls, probably somewhere between 5 to 20 pulls, similar to Nimue. Naimu, whatever. What is it? So 144 kills. There's like 45 US kills at the moment. This is like my end goal. If we only kill like 1 or 2 of these bosses, that's totally fine. I'm good with that for the week. In the ideal world, we kill this one just so that we have a chance for tier piece to drop. I would always appreciate tier piece. I believe this is tier hands. Give me 1 moment, let me confirm that. Oh my goodness, why did they not? What is it? Tier hands, yes. Wait, amazing. So ideally, I would want to be able to kill this fight. This will be another 4 heal fight. So this boss right here is 5 heal. This is 4 heal. This is 4 heal. And then if we somehow see Rasha'nan, this is a 5 heal fight 100%. There's no way we do this as a 4 heal. I already mentioned in the chat, Instant Dollars tried this as 4 heal and they only ended up clearing once they swapped to the 5th healer. Especially because we don't have, what is it? The 2 bugged healers at the moment are Holy Priest and Provoker. They have a bug where their biggest heal is it's doing 4 healers beyond 5 targets. It's supposed to reduce the heal after 5 targets, but it's just doing 4 healers on everyone, so like they're insanely high. But since we don't have a whole lot of those specs, we'll just work off what we got. So for Sikran, actually, that's just boss damage. There's not a whole lot of pulses for like some of these, like for example, Survival Hunter only has like 1, so that's a thing. But this is a pure single target fight. Same stuff as normal heal work. I'm not even going to move this stuff on the right side just because it doesn't matter. What is it? So that's kind of what things are going to be based around. So what do we have for single target? This will 99% require a few slots changed on the comp just because Ulgrax and Bloodbound Horror, we wanted some AoE. This fight, I don't really care about any AoE at all. So like, whatever single target specs we have, we're just going to go with the single target specs. Alright, so going over Sikran itself. Where's my page? There's my timestamp, 6:36:26. So we're kind of going to be doing stuff in the raid plan, except we're going to do one very minor change. I'll update the raid plan prior to Saturday, Sunday to reflect this change. It's kind of going to be similar to what Orchid is going to do. They did add in one very helpful stuff for Sikran in order to determine whether you're 8 yards away. But the box strat that we're, oh my goodness, it skipped ahead. The box strat that we've been doing on Heroic, oh my goodness, why does it keep skipping ahead? You know what, we'll just start the VOD here. I don't care about the introduction stuff since it's a tank slam. We're still doing this box as you can see Liquid is doing. So whoever is the first one that's getting targeted by Sikran should always be in one of the front 2 slots. The other 2 people are going to be in the back. And then the mythic, as a reminder, heroic mechanic is anyone who gets caught in the dash in between, they're going to summon a simulacrum. What is it? Actually, it looks like it just teleports to the first person, because this person is definitely in line. What is it? The hero change is anyone caught in the dash gets summoned to simulacrum, and then for mythic, if you're within 8 yards of each other, it's just going to immediately blow up and do a whole bunch of blade damage. So all of these 4 players must be 8 yards away from each other, and then when these simulacrums spawn and the next set of face blades happen, the next set must be 8 yards away from both the players and the simulacrums. So we're going to wait a bit. There's going to be a 10 hits. And then, what is it, after this face launch, it should be the next set of face blades. So there they go. And basically, you see like these 2 on the left, they're 8 yards away from the simulacrums to the left. And then initially, what it's going to do, the stuff that we're possibly going to do, we're going to slightly drag the boss. It's kind of towards the middle, but it's like more so leaning towards where the simulacrums are, and then they end up cleaving 3 of them. We're going to do something slightly different. We're going to do whatever Liquid does later on in this fight, just to make it a lot simpler. We're going to continue on for a bit. We're going to have these face blades. They're all going to go over. Be very mindful of the 8 yards during this. There are still swirlies during like that tail end, 2 seconds right before. If you're someone who's more so on the left side, try your best to not dodge into the people on the other side. So like never dodge towards each other, always dodge away. But like the 2 people on the left, make sure you give enough space so that if you have to dodge a bit over towards the simulacrum void zone, you do have that space. And worst case scenario, you're just going to stand on the swirly and you're going to pop every single personal because the swirl does a whole bunch of damage. But it's more important that, what is it? Unless the waiter is aware that the simulacrums are going to be too close to each other, what is it? We would heavily prefer not having them clip. So that happens, and then we have the shadowing sweep, so it's proximity damage, and then everyone's out of 15 yards because you don't want to take extra damage for the next 20 seconds. Alright, so they're continuing on. I forget when Fire It Up ends up getting the mechanic, but you'll see why it's a lot easier to identify the 8 yards. Because you might be just looking at these people going over and you're like, well, how are they able to determine that they're 8 yards apart? And right there, what is it? Impact and PhD are a bit too close to each other. I would more so it's, and then you see like this is a very huge amount of damage. What is it? I believe. Let's see. I forget what happens to the Holy Priest, but they're fine. Like, if people aren't aware of the fact that like this is going to just peel up, yeah, it is an insane amount of damage. Impact ends up dying because of it. And then what is it? When they get triggered that way, they just become the void zone. But ideally we don't trigger anything that way just because we don't want to drop to like 10% HP. Or for the face blade targets, they end up dropping even further because they take the face blade damage itself. I wonder, does Hoko do it for this set? Yeah, they do it for the set. So after the second set of face blades, I'll call out for the tanks to drag it to the way that Liquid is going to do it. So what they're going to do is they're going to drag the boss to the one spot, what is this, counterclockwise of where all the face blades had just gone, right over to this spot here, And that way, it's only 2 decimates out of the 3 that's needed in order to clear through all of them. And you get this whole entire set with it. And that's always after the double face blade into the decimate. For this single one that's going to come up, you just keep it as per usual. So right here, they do face blades. We're going to go over, they have to make space. You see like a whole bunch of swirly pops up. And what is it? This is kind of what I mean by like, either you need to make sure that you already have enough space ahead of time, or you just need to pop like very big push noise because like these people are on the swirlies, but like they can't approach each other. And then because they do approach each other, what is it? One of them ends up popping. So what is it? That's just the druid dodging the incorrect way. And then this is what I mean by like we're doing this completely as normal, where we just drag the boss onto like one of these corners and then we're just decimating straight through them. And then we finish off this set with another shadowing sweep. And we have one more chunk of the arena to go, and then they're going to change up what they're doing. So I'll just continue on with this ward. Because I'm too lazy to just skip ahead to figure out when fired up ends up. Like, so fired up ends up getting the mechanic. This is the circle. This is your circle of saying this is 8 yards. So you need to make sure that no player or no simulacrums are inside the circle. And you have to make sure that if there's like, for example, all these walls popping up, you don't dodge into another player. You don't panic dodge into someone by like running left or right or into wherever they are. You either just pop a very big personal or you just have to like dodge after. So we go on a bit further ahead, there's going to be the tank buster, and then they're going to do another set of face plates, and then the tank will take the boss towards the edge, and then they'll like do the 2-line cleave for the decimate. So all those slams, they take the boss towards the edge after the 2 face plates, and then they just cleave through all of them. And then let me just go ahead and just skip on ahead because realistically this end section is standard. You just drop the 4 and then you decimate straight through them. Shadowing sweep happens. And this is the very end section of the fight. Well, basically they are 60 seconds from the rage because they run out of space. So for this section, you're still doing the face blades, except it's going to be like a lot more chaotic because of the fact that we have so little space left over. There's going to be another set of face plates that would have popped up after this, and then they don't have it in this mod. After the next face blade, we do not pop out any of these simulacrums. We're just going to face blade, send the decimation to Narnia, face blade, send the decimation to Narnia, and then shoot that shadowing sweep as hard and rage. So if we were to go with the cooldown timers for this fight, what is Sikran? Let me load up. So just to go over the fight timeline, face blade, tank moves the boss to the edge, we decimate from the edge through them, face blade, this decimate comes kind of more from the center, shadowing sweep, repeat, 2 face blades, tank drags boss to the edge, face blade, tank drags the boss to one of the points of the hexagon, we decimate, shadowing sweep, repeat, 2 face blades, boss to the edge, 2 decimates, face blades, boss is on a corner of a hexagon, we decimate, shadowing sweep, these face blades happen, this decimate goes into Narnia, we have another face blade, another decimate, and this shadowing sweep is in rage. So that is the fight. It is a 6:30 fight. Most likely we will kill around 6 minutes. 6 minutes to 6:15. I believe that's what most guilds are currently doing for Sikran. Let me see, 6:14. There's a few 5:20, 5:30. 5:20 to 5:30 makes it really comfortable, but yeah, you can see like 6 minute, 5:30, 5:50. 6:18. This is a pretty long pull. But yeah, this is around like the timing that you should look. So somewhere between the 5:30, right around this base plate, to 6:15, which is right before this decimate would hit. We want to have the boss already dead. Alright, now I did skip over the personal usage because when I saw that, you might have noticed there's no personal note for this fight. So there are two sections where you are going to be using personals in this fight. The very first section is you get targeted by phase blades. This phase blade puts a dot on you for I believe 10 seconds, and it also puts a 50% healing received debuff on you, which basically means that it's going to be me and Vox spot healing you and hoping that even with the 50% healing reduction, we can bring you back to life. It's not like a lot of healers aren't doing anything, but it's like this debuff lasts for quite a while.
With it being a longer than 5-minute fight, would you recommend we just, if you're one of the first people picked, send your health pot? That way you can use a health pot later?
Yes. If you're one of the people's, what is it? Because we're expecting to go to 5:30, what is it? Well, 5:30 to 6:15. If you're one of these two first phase blades, if you can send your health pot on that, that would be very appreciated. The other alternative, and this is more so for the raid, if we're expecting a 6-minute kill, this decimate, I would most likely swap the CD so that instead of Yuan, Sheep's not going to be in for this one, but this Yuan and this Avenging Wrath, I would most likely switch that for people hitting the health pot instead, and then changing it so that these CDs happen a lot earlier so that they fit into different abilities. But yes, health pots are always appreciated, even with the minus 50% healing reduction, just being able to top yourself off. Alternatively, it's like you hit a personal and you're just trying to make sure that you live through the decimate, and then once the heal reduction is removed, then you can health pot for the full 3.6 mil instead of 1.8 mil heal. But yeah, so that's one of the stuff that you should be hitting personals for. The other stuff that you should be hitting a personal for is, let's say that we're going into this specific decimate right here. If you're targeted by one of these decimates, or you can see that you're obviously getting clipped by 2 decimates, that's also a good spot to hit a personal. And I will mention, it is very possible for you to do this faceplate mechanic right here, and then for you to get targeted by the decimate that follows up afterwards, which is why I'm heavily emphasizing the personal usage. You can't just expect healers to just throughput heal on you entirely. They'll be trying, but what is it? For a good chunk of these fights, you're going to be using your personals rather liberally. And then if there's no other personal usage throughout the fight, towards this tail end, what is it? Actually, because I don't get there. This decimate that happens at 5:49, because this is going to be sent to try to avoid simulacrums, there's a good chance that someone's going to panic and accidentally snipe a simulacrum because of the fact that there's 8 of them. So for this decimate, I would just recommend everyone to just hit a personal. You can save it if you feel like we might hit 6:17, but because I think we're only going to hit 6 minutes at max, this decimate, everyone should just pop a personal, just play it safe. If like people end up hitting all the simulacrums, you'll just survive long enough that whatever happens next. Like the void zone is going to fill up the whole entire room, and then it's just going to be immunities living and trying to kill the boss at that point. So yes, that's it for Sikran. If anyone has any questions for this fight. Okay, let's go over to Rasha'nan. So this is going to be the fight. Well, we might prog this week. I'll most likely do another VOD meeting next week for Rasha'nan as well, when we're actually realistically going to see it. As you can see here, there's not a whole lot of kills. It's 17 US kills and 58 total kills. Now, I'm not going to talk about like damage stuff because like there's really little logs on this, but I will mention this is no longer a Pinata fight. If you're a wheelchair spec, I am so sorry for you. I hope the wheelchairs have like an escort service for this fight, because look what's going to one porters, but you're going to notice how often they're going to be moving, and this might heavily influence the comp that I end up running for it. So what is it? So we did talk about this previously. I'm kind of going to be like retreading a few steps with Rasha'nan from previously, but because the timers are changed, I'll just go through it. We have the tank buster, same stuff as usual. We have this raid wide, same stuff as per usual. Alright, so all of these people, they're just going to go towards the back of the room, and then when one of them snaps, again, you have the kill zone. Anyone within this kill zone takes 17 million damage. So what Orchid ends up doing is they end up dragging a kills to melee, and they just all come together. So that way the kill zone is as tiny as possible, and it's in melee range. And then these ads, if you get targeted by these ads, in an ideal world, we'll like A-bomb them, Glorfiends, something to like grip them all together, and then we change CC. If we don't, I would just recommend that every single time you get that circle, you just hit a personal. This is a lot of damage up front, and if they do end up biting you, you can basically very easily see yourself getting one-shotted before like anyone can CC the ads off of you. But aside from using the personal there, you're just going to all group up, and then we're going to AoE them down. Right, and then we have the rolling acid. I'm pretty sure I shouldn't have like any issues with that mechanic, and then Dawnbreaker is part of the rotation. Alright, and then we're continuing. There's going to be this erosive spray, and then unlike the video that I showed for the last time for Mythic, the boss is already flying away at 55 seconds. We are already booking it, and it's going all the way over. There is no pit stop. So we are going all the way over, we're kicking it, and then of course there's the soak. So you are just booking it as quick as possible. Ideally a light kick. You see like some of the wheelchair specs, like they're not even anywhere close to getting in. It's very important that as many people get in that as possible.
Is that how you wanted the gate, by the way?
Yes. I think so
Over the
far
edge.
from videos, I've seen it go the same way, but I think that's confirmation bias. I think there is a chance that it can only be the other way around. Right, so we continue the fight. Ideally, you never get hit by the mythic mechanic of like those line AoEs, because that's also in Dawnbreaker. What's it? For the most part, these erosive sprays, they will also have, what is it? These will have a heal CD and a radial attached to them, and similar to Heroic, anytime you have this, 22-second long dot, and it overlaps with another mechanic, like for example this spinnerlet strand, I would highly recommend like you pop a personal, because you're taking a lot of damage from the dot as well as like whatever mechanic you have. And then Liquid does the same stuff again. If all 4 people can coordinate and come to the same agreement of like we're just running straight through the boss into melee range and we're just going to clump together, this is my preferred strat. If people cannot be in the same line, like we have like some range out in Narnia just casting, and now there's like a gigantic kill zone, we're going to have to change the strat completely and just have everyone just stay in range or whatever. I would just prefer everyone to just come in melee. Just so that like we add in more space for this, because we want to be clearing the webs with the rolling acid. I'm pretty sure for like some of you who have done hierarchy for Dawnbreaker, you know about like at the very end how you drop all the webs and they stay there permanently until you rolling acid, and then it takes a minute for people at the poise to disappear. It's the same stuff for this fight. Right, and then they're climbing up to 10 stacks, and then at 2 minutes the boss is now flying away again. So 1 minute and 2 minutes, you're running across. I believe Gateway is still on CD. Yeah, it's a 1 minute 30 to use Gateway.
Yeah, they still have 20 seconds left there.
Yes. So basically, you're going to have to figure out something else. If you use the Gateway for the first movement, you can't use the Gateway for the second one. You're just going to have to figure something out. And they're continuing. What is it? They're going to continue with this stuff. There's a lot less space that they're working with, because like for example, like right here, Max is telling them like make a small circle for whatever reason, and then very soon he sees like, oh shoot, there's like all these webs. They should have made a bigger triangle. And then they snap. They all stand close to each other. This is a very big kill zone. Like whoever this evoker is in the bottom right, they should have been with all of the other ones on the bottom left. You want to just minimize this zone, that kill zone, and then there's doing another web, which you can see how crowded this area is, and then once again they're going to like make a kill zone, except it's a very awkward thin line kill zone that they're making. I would highly not recommend something like that. So then they continue on. What is it? We're at 3 minutes. Once again, every single minute, the boss is flying away. Use the gateway for the second movement. You can't use the gateway for this movement. And you have to be able to make it to the stack. Right. And then the fight kind of like repeats with like different levels of overlaps. So like for example right here they have like all the ads spawning, and then they have the webs that are going to be dropping, and then they make the kill zone tinier. This is like a very gigantic kill zone. You should never aim to have something like this, because right here, what is it? The tank ends up getting caught. I think this is a tank. Yes, this is the Guardian Druid. Both tanks end up getting caught and they almost die because of that kill zone, because it's a 17 million damage. And then I believe, what is it? This summon also ends up dying because they're inside this kill zone. Like, what is it? Whoever these people are towards the middle of the boss, they should be like towards the edge of the hitbox, closer to what everyone else is. And then we continue on. The boss is going to do another erosive. It's infested spawns. It's going to do another erosive spray afterwards. Maybe not. Alright, here's the erosive spray. And then right on cue, it's another 1 minute. The boss is flying away. So yes, every single minute you're going to need some kind of movement ability to just get to the next zone. Sometimes it goes really far, sometimes it does this type of movement. And then the only other cautious stuff is at 5 minutes, what is it? There's a different type of movement that it's going to do. Let me see. I'll just speed on ahead. So right here, it's going to spawn these ads. It's going to do erosive spray. These people should be hitting personals who have the ads. And then after this erosive spray, instead of going back to like the two corners all the way at the end, it's going to fly across this middle gap just to go to this other side. So you do have to be used to this boss kind of just going all over the place. And then I'm just going to speed on along because what is it? The rest of the mechanics for the most part are pretty simple. Right around here, this erosive spray that's coming up at 6 minutes 13 seconds, this would be usually when the boss jumps away, but this is actually the enrage cast. It's a 30-second long erosive spray, so it's basically a soft enrage. Healers are just trying to keep everyone alive until the end of the cast, and then DPS are trying to beat that timer. Like you can see, look what's at 6:14, they haven't sent a whole lot of quests, and they come down really close to this enrage timer. I was mentioning like they had like 4-6 seconds left. So that's Rasha'nan. You probably notice like some of the specs that they're like running, like Destro Lock, Frost Decay, Arcane Mage, Arms Warrior. Assassination Rogue, the Vokers. And then what is it? They have the 5 heal comp, is whatever for the healers. But yeah, that's the stuff for Rasha'nan. We'll most likely tune it in more so when we actually have the gear and we're actually going to be progressing this fight. But yeah, do keep in mind that stuff about the movement and especially for people who don't have a lot of movement abilities. During the movement, we're going to drop a gateway on each one, regardless of whether people can use it or not. They can pick which one they want to use the gateway on. We'll have a win-loss totem and a wall for each movement, and we'll also have if we had 2 evokers, we'll time spiral each one, but we'll probably alternate which one we time spiral for only one evoker. And then I think that's it for movement utility. We do have like 1 evoker rescue every minute, but that's about it. But yes, that's it for Rasha'nan. I think this boss is most likely going to be either next week or the week after type of kill. And then we pray that Ovi'nax has been nerfed. If not, we are not doing the Sikran stuff of we're just going to call raid and we're just going to wait for Ovi'nax to be nerfed. We are going to be plugging Ovi'nax and at the very least learning like the tank movement, what we're building up, how we're doing the CC, the kick stuff, just to make sure that we do practice the fight instead of just leaving it out into the abyss, and then when we eventually get to the fight like T-Swift or Sikran, we come in and we're like, oh yeah, this P1 still exists.
Do we plan on 3 tanking Ovi'nax?
It depends. What is it?
Bunker.
There's a strong, so if we were to do what Liquid and Echo are doing, we would be 3 tanking the fight and 3 healing. So that's one of the fights where there's a chance that in order to reduce my brain power, I would probably just off-spec into tank, unless one of our actual off-spec tanks like Wistra would be tanking. And then we would remove one of the healers for that fight. But yeah, that Ovi'nax kind of, it heavily depends on how it goes. I could mention a few stuff about Ovi'nax. Not really for like
it's
the
dangerous in there, but you gotta just...
I just need you muted. Oh my goodness, not break. Alrighty, we're just going to zoom on back to the very beginning of this, because I briefly want to like mention like the tank stuff that we could take a bit more advantage of for both normal and heroic. That's what this fight is. So right here, they're going to start the fight. You're going to notice that they just keep the boss like super far away. Like they lean the boss into this quadrant, but then they keep it here. So even though I say like the boss is going to move here, the tanks don't drag it. Basically, you're just waiting for Ovi'nax to hit 100% energy, and then the boss just starts scooting on over, and then the Malish will chase at that point. And that just gives us a few extra seconds, because during this time while it's moving, this is not considered like the next phase yet. So that gives us an extra 5 seconds on the total encounter time. And then towards the tail end of once they finish this egg set, I know we mentioned like, oh, okay, we're going to go into the next quadrant. We're probably not going to do this for heroic, but what Liquid ends up doing is once all of these ads die, they're waiting for like these 2 parasites to finally finish over. They're going to drag it into the corner of the quadrant that they were in, but it's leaning towards whichever section that they're aiming to go after next, and that's so that you maximize the time that it takes for Ovi'nax to go all the way over. So like right around here, Ovi'nax is going to hit 100% energy, casters are just free firing, all the melees are taking the gateway, and they're just like, you're just taking advantage of this travel time to do extra DPS that wouldn't normally exist. What is it? I don't know about Liquid's cook for the next one, just because, what is it? Technically speaking, what is it? The Void Zone doesn't deal a whole lot of damage, so like they take it as far away as possible from the last section, and then you see like this Void Zone is like glowing, but they have like a gateway set up so that as soon as the boss starts moving, all the melees are going to gateway. That way they don't take a whole lot of Void Zone damage. But yeah, what is it? I'm not going to talk too much about Ovi'nax. What is it? There's really little point about talking about a boss that, oh my god, they had 100 pulls. It's over. What is it? This is kind of like, which boss is? Painsmith or Andres? In terms of pull count? Actually no, not Andres. Andres is way harder. But like, this is like a mid-tier difficulty spike. And Kaiveza guilds are not pulling for the people who came in late. There's way too much HP on Kaiveza. So yeah, that's the entirety. If anyone has any questions on the fight, I'm still working on the Rasha'nan timers. But these are updated for people who actually use the site to actually figure out like, okay, this is when the boss moves. These are the abilities that are cast in between each section. You see, I kind of didn't talk too much about the overlap because the overlap is different on each one of these sections of the fight. Alright, cool. Alrighty, so that ends the initial part of the raid meeting. So that's everything from, what is it, the first 4 bosses. We're aiming to kill these 2. At the very least, we need Ulgrax dead. My expectation is Bloodbound Horror is also dead. My ideal is Sikran's also dead, and we're just partying Rasha'nan. I will mention, because of the fact that my ideal is to kill Sikran, I'm most likely going to make a comp for these 3 bosses, disregarding any bullet slots. So there are some of you who I will probably just have in for 1 boss, and then you would just disappear for the other 2 bosses, and you would just not have a mythic bullet slot. So I want to give that stuff as a note in advance. And the other stuff is, most likely, I'm probably going to play around with maybe 22 to 24 people in the roster rather than the full 30, just because I want to get the kills out of the way as early as possible. Let me see, where's my stuff? Where's, give me 1 moment. Oh, who did I remove? I ended up removing someone. There's a name here that's now missing, but I don't know who. And that doesn't mean that I don't care about the person. Let me look this up. I'll like show something for the roster. I just need to figure out who this person accidentally deleted. Okay, I found them. So I'm still looking over the roster stuff. For mythic boss. Let me just drag this over. So this contains most of, what is it? I have the top part, which is still my work in progress stuff for the roster, and I have everyone else below. Keep in mind, I have not added any logs or rogues to this just yet. I'm probably just going to like work on this, and then whenever we call work, I will just pick people. But for the people above, just know that you're in just because of weight buff reasons. and I didn't have to make a hard choice. Like at the moment, obviously the Orcs and the Rogues, I have to think of it early on just because there's 6 slots left. I realistically only need 2 of these, but I'm probably going to pick like extra. Actually, let me just move Quicksilver. So yeah, keep in mind that this is mainly just for the first boss, just for Friday. For Bloodbound Horror and Sikran, it's going to change. Actually, what is it? Because this is for Ulgrax, you'll be also in. So yes, just keep it note that like I'm going to be adding 2 different, 1 walk, 1 rogue, and then I'm just going to pick 2 other DPS, and that's what I'll roll with for Ulgrax. So yes, if you see your name up here, please make sure that you actually know what you're doing for Ulgrax. Alrighty. So, well at this tail section, I have 28 minutes prior to raid. Actually, I should log in. Which I don't even know if I'm on the roster at the moment. So, for this last 28 minutes, I did want to do some type of log analysis. Is there a specific fight or something specific that people would want me to look at? Alright. I'm hearing some.
Sorry, actually, you were talking about how the 1 minute cooldowns on the second boss, Bloodbound Horror, would line up if we use our 1 minutes at the start,
Yes.
and then
So what is it? So let me just pull up my other guild's logs. So I believe for this one, they have one of the orcs goes down. What is it? At 118. Let me just confirm this. Let me see. So we're getting up to 118. What is it? Let me see. There's one of these. We have a mage here. Oh yeah, we have T-Chan over here. These point dash row. So like, what is it? Actually, does that still have something for 1 minute? I don't think they have a
Nah,
1 minute.
It'd be AF, because
It's specific
after
for the, let me see. Does Delt do anything different? I know Arcane Mage isn't a 1 minute evocation. So yeah, he goes into, what is it? So Delt starts off the fight with Arcane Mage, use all his stuff for the opener, and then because of because of shifting powers, when he goes downstairs at 118, what is it?
yeah, he basically uses the same rotation a little bit later at about 126.
So at 119, so 118, what is it? He pops up prismatic barrier. He goes downstairs. He hit evocates Arcane Series, touches the Magi, and he's just hitting, what is it? One of the Forgotten Harbingers. And this is basically like his. Kid of this is the burn with the mini burn, but essentially
That's a burn, yeah.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff where it's like, if you're someone who, you have to send your stuff at the very start of the fight, within the first 20 seconds, I would prefer if you're not in the odd group, because odd group goes down at 18 seconds, somewhere around this point, and instead you go down at 118, so then you're going in with a full CD, and you're able to make up for the fact that some people, specifically like the 2 minute specs, you're covering for their damage.
And I could pretty much send on the boss the entire time, because you said the splash hits the odds, right?
Yes, correct. What is it? It will splash onto the ads. One of the that I will probably mention is early on, I would just recommend sending it onto the ad pack initially, up until we realize that we have enough damage for the fight. Just because I'd rather we overkill the ads than to try to DPS optimize, and then we realize like, oh shoot, we were missing an extra 10%, and then someone's like, oh shoot, I was actually hitting the boss and cleaning off of it. I should have been the 10% that the ad was missing. But yeah, this kind of stuff is a good question to go over. Nice. This is Spymaster's web. Interesting. Alright, cool. So that's a little bit of the log analysis. Anyone else have any questions? In terms of like something that you would like to see on the logs? Otherwise I'll just go over some random stuff from logs. Okay, looks like we don't have a whole lot of questions, so what is it? Let me just give me a moment to think. See, what is Ulgrax? I think this fight is Ulgrax. Obviously, in an ideal world, I would like people to use their personals and defensives as often as possible. Just because I am a bit conceited, I can just like open my logs. I don't have like the best personal usage because I'll be real, I just like went in and I just went with the flow. But realistically, every single time that we're in, every single time that we're doing one of the boss sections of the fight, so like around 1 minute, this 421 section, this 8-minute section, you should always have a personal specifically for the section of the fight where I'm specifically mentioning it's a last into bomb into second group soak mechanic. Even if you're not the one dying, the healers being able to ignore you means that we can get everyone topped off before the soak mechanic happens. Because in a few of these earlier polls, let me just show it as an example. In some of these earlier polls that I ended up doing with my other guild, we go to this. This is the second last with the bomb, and you can see just how low some people are just dropping. So like, realistically, like healers having a few targets where you're basically not even looking at their HP because they're already full HP. That's really beneficial because then it means that the healers can focus on the people who are a lot low in HP. And these people who are low in HP, they're always free to like health pot in order to like say, okay, I'm obviously dropping low, I'm just going to do a 3.8 mil heal, and I'm going to make sure that the healers can ignore my HP. And then continuing on. Actually, let me see. So that was the first one. You don't necessarily have to do it on this one. This one should be, for the most part, heal CD2. I completely forgot that it's this specific second last. So like, this is the second last. We're going to go into a bomb combo, and you're going to notice, yeah, there's a lot of HP, so just insanely low. As long as you don't 100% die, it's fine. It's just preferred if like, what is it, you end up having something that tops you off eventually before like this soak ends up happening, and you can see like this is where the boss is, and this is where the soak is happening all the way on the edge. We're just playing it very safe for this fight, just because of the fact that, what is it? Let me see. You did get pulled in, like, basically there's a win-loss totem being dropped here, and you can see that like even with W keying, some people get like insanely kills. I ended up just walking forward a bit, but we nearly get like fully sucked in. And then we see this rate wide for the proximity is nothing to worry about. You like need to like hit a personal if you are trying to stay up all the time. And then during this ad section, it's not so much the first dash where the problem comes up. It's around the third dash, because this ad, oh, they don't even show the stacking buff. You can see right here the bioactive spines. It's 1 million damage up to 8 targets within 40 yards, and then each successful volley is, what is it, 10% additional damage And if you were to look at the actual damage event for this attack, let me see. I'm absolutely blind. You can see like it happens roughly every 5-ish seconds. Let me just swap over to like one of these. Like here, it's around 51, it's hitting a few targets. At 56, it's hitting another set of targets. At 3 seconds, after 2 minutes, it's hitting another set of targets. And so on and so forth. And then, what is it? And then the buff timer that it has. Oh yeah, I have to go to enemies. The buff timer, you can see right here. It's about every 10-ish seconds where it gains that 10% additional damage. So basically it'll do 2 volleys that are going to hit for 1 million damage, and then after that 10 seconds it'll gain the buff, and then the next set of volleys would be, what is it, 1.1 million damage, something along those lines. Yeah. I don't know why the tooltip says that it's after every successful volley, because from the damage that it does, it's obviously hitting a lot quicker than every 10 seconds. So that's just a thing. And then the last stuff that I was talking about during the whole entire meeting stuff is, during this section where we are feeding the boss, you notice that these 2 ads, they're already at 3 stacks of the buff. They need to die real quick. We had a bit of poor positioning here because realistically these ads should be a lot closer to the middle, so that it's a lot less distance speed. Because now you're seeing like people running all the way to the opposite side of the room in order to pick stuff up, in order to give to the boss to get it out of that phase. And then during this whole while, as this stuff ramps up in damage, what is this? 1.4 million damage. It's 500k every second for 3 seconds, and then it ramps in damage over time. You'll see like people start dropping yo. This is also another prime section where you should be having a personal for it. Because realistically, you're not hitting anything else. The boss has 99.9% DR. There's like very little reason for you to be hitting the boss. You should just be prioritizing staying alive and feeding the boss as quick as possible to get us out into mission. Because these HP balls are not pretty. What is it? We don't have a whole lot of CDs on this section, I don't believe. It's like, I've already finished Yuan, so I'm just maintaining the mist from that section. Incline is already gone. Divine Hymn sort of, actually no, the healer doesn't fully last there. There's gonna be like a random barrier dropped. But like literally there's no healer CD. We just have 1 rally from Lystra, and that's it. And that's realistically because the heal CDs are more so planned out for the other sets of intermission. I might put something for this set, just because currently this one's pretty blank. And then let me see, what else is there? I don't think there's all too much else about Ulgrax that I would talk all too much about. I could definitely go into like specific DPS stuff. Damn, stuff changed. Cool. But yeah, anyone else have any stuff that they would like me to look over for the logs in terms of like timers? It could be like a DPS related question, or a heal related question, or positioning related.
Yeah, probably won't have any until we actually get in there.
I mean, what is it? There was that, but my personal preference as always is like if there's anything that you could like look up prior and get a good feel for, like what is it? I don't think there's any issues with like going over the replays, for example, and then just seeing like, okay, how are the HP bars moving for any of the different specs, and then based off of how the HP bars are moving, you could be like, okay, this section is a bit rough, so what can I do for it? Like, what is it? I guess once I'm aware. I'll like mention this just because of the fact that was it. We were briefly discussing this earlier. Well, where's the tank stuff? Because like I know there's like quite a bit of flexibility with Vengeance Demon Hunter, for example, but if we were to go with the logs, like for example, like there's a good number of timings where like usually people are using stuff at a very specific timing for a certain reason. So those are like just good to note. Although for like Ulgrax, I don't think there's anything that's going to like outright kill the tanks. I think the main stuff that I at least notice, let me see if I can actually find it in the logs for this stuff, is when you're tanking like a whole bunch of the ads, I think it's usually the second intermission. Yeah, like right around here. Granted, they'll Guardian Druid and Plot Warrior, but they're taking a lot from the bleed. And I already know how Plot Warrior deals with bleeds. But like, what is it? That's like something to note to like, whether you need something during the intermission or not. Because realistically, I don't think when Ulgrax is up, all you're really doing is you're just tank swapping for the, whatever the fucking claw does. Whatever the claw, brutal crush. Yeah, the Tendai stuff, the 20 stacks. Which I believe most of the Ulgrax stuff is magic. No, the melee. Let me see. Nope, it's melee. Actually, is it melee? You take more from the venomous lash. Oh, interesting. But yeah, for these first two fights, I don't think there's a whole lot for the tanks. So like, what is it? I'm probably not going to like mention all too much. I just want you to be aware that when we're doing Ulgrax, I just keep pulling all these up. During each of the intermissions, these timings like heal, and heal, be very mindful of like you might need to just call out for an external midway through.
Okay.
I'm also kind of saying that because I noticed that all of these vengeance, a good chunk of these vengeance demon hunters are also using meta during the intermission ads.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're using the fiery brand build instead of sigils, so it'll spread to the ads.
Let me see. I don't think there's like anything audio out there. Actually, what is it? There was one stuff I was going to check. What are actually any more Holy Priest logs? I want to make sure that I'm not just sending like Kayam into the abyss for Bloodbound Horror by having him 10%. I might switch this back to salve. I'm still thinking about this apotheosis versus salve stuff.
I didn't see on QE Live. Are you gonna need darkness anywhere?
What is it? For the moment, I don't think like, what is it? Last I checked for Vengeance Demon Hunter, I think it's hard for you to spec into darkness. As well as, oh wait, actually there's like 48% darkness. Currently I don't have your darkness, but I do have Havoc Demon Hunter because I believe Havoc Demon Hunter has an easier way of reaching it.
Yeah, we can take it, no problem.
Oh, it's because you're not taking this. Let me see.
Yeah, we don't take it anymore.
Alright, cool.
The only reason we were taking Sigil was because we were running Eldraki, which nobody's doing.
Yeah, not even vengeance.
Let me just double check. Alright, cool. It's looking like I'm on the bench. Excellent.
If you're on the bench, are we doing keys?
It would be keys with me not being in there.
What? That's fine.
But yes.
Keys?
Keys. Yeah, what is it? I definitely recommend, like, what is it? I assume most of you are already doing this, but just make sure that you all will, like, what build people are actually running for this stuff. Because, like, what is it? I wonder, did the enhancement element stuff change
For what?
for any of these fights? I know that there's a different sim, but, like, this build still very much looks like the same mode.
No, you just play the. I mean, you can play the new hybrid build, but you can also just play the old one.
Because I'm noticing a good number are still on the old build. Because what is it? Oh, I hope that didn't change my language. I will admit, as a DPS, I am absolutely god awful at AoE.
It also doesn't help that all of this information just comes from the Discord and isn't on any of the class's resources, and it changes literally every week.
Yeah, what is it? I tried this, like, what is it? This build where you went to go to Demons
The
on
new hybrid build.
and it didn't end up working all too well, and that's mainly because I think I wasn't hitting a lightning bolt as often as I was supposed to.
Yeah, that was a thing that I was talking to Sparkle about. Is he just wasn't spending enough.
It's just, what is it? With this build, will you, like, what is it? You go down this route, but you also have hot hands. This route, usually you wait until you're at 8+ stacks of Millstone weapons before you start sending. But then when you go down to Doomwind, you're usually trying to send around 5 stacks. 5 or 7, something pretty low.
Sure, most builds are at this point. It's just 6+. Is you just.
Yeah, what is it? I'll just put a last note for anyone who, like, doesn't know about orcs or, like, look after orcs. I'd highly recommend that, like, you go to, like, the pages where you can see the builds, or, like, what is it? You go over to the site, you click on whatever your spec is. Actually, I could just click on enhancement element.
I really wish they would change how Maelstrom is shown so that log analysis for enhanced wasn't so fucking awful.
See, I know there's an easier way to, like, turn off externals. I'm just gonna click it off one by one. Like, what is it? You should definitely use the site for, like, checking to see, like, okay, when are people using their CDs for offense? And then you're always free to, like, what is it? You're always free to, like, click on their name. You can actually see the logs itself, and then you could figure out, like, okay, what timings are they actually getting? Why is the CD being hit here? And then the more important stuff is, if you're someone who really struggles with remembering your personals, I put this, like, every single way here. You can just turn on all of your personals, and then if they look good, there's 2 ways that you can do it. Either A, you need to recognize, like, okay, people are hitting stuff on this stuff, they're hitting stuff during intermission, so I should probably hit something during intermission. What is it? If, like, there's a specific timer that you feel like would work really well, and you want to, like, be lazy with your homework, you can just click the copy button, enter your name, copy it, and then you put this as, like, your personal note. So, like, what is it? Oh yeah, on the bench, because I actually requested for the bench, and you just set it up as a personal note. and then this stuff will just read out to you. What is it? Whenever these timers pop up, it's not the same as Basilio's timers. Where was it? When I copy this note, it's dynamically timed. So like, for example, like these timers, they reset back to 22 seconds, but it's based off of phases. If you do that, what I would recommend you do is you go over to this website. What is it? I'll link it later on. You open up whatever your stuff. Let me see. You put in your name. You go to visibility, and then you just add the DPS CDs, and then you can see how your DPS CDs are going. Keep in mind the site is still in beta, because like realistically this site was more so made for healers rather than for DPS. This is just an added functionality in the event that like you need very specific timers to remind you throughout the fight. But yeah, let me end this recording